Welcome back again, Frank DeMora with March 15th, 2011. And I want to cover a little bit. We're talking about Japan and what happened with the 9-point earthquake and the total destruction in that nation. And many of you don't know that Japan was already hurting. Their economy was already hurting. You have an article that I'm going to put the link so that you could read the link to this report. It's pretty lengthy, but it is some really good information. And what I want to show you is in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 17. We were warned there that the Antichrist, when he arose in the last days, he would rise to a position that he would control the economy. Now, something has to happen drastically, obviously, for the whole world to come together and to hand over the global economy to one man. And we've been seeing the road that is being paved to this one world economic scene, or this government. Jesus talks about Babylon being rebuilt in the last days, the mystery of Babylon, where we're going to have you'll see a global church, a global economy, and a global one world government. All of these things will be in the hands of the Antichrist. And so we know that there's going to be a major shift that will lead this world into that one world system to fulfill Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 17. And we know that the Antichrist will control it because Jesus told us that no one will be able to buy or sell anything unless they had the mark of the Antichrist. And if you don't know, anybody who takes that mark that will enable them to buy or sell things during the 7-year tribulation, you automatically seal your fate into hell, and there's no hope. So pay attention to what the Lord says. But now we saw this 9.0 earthquake that devastated Japan. Their economy was already almost in a collapse. Their debt ratio was unbelievable. And now the ripple effect, now that you saw the 30-foot wave that marched 500 miles an hour over the water that destroyed much of Japan. Well, the ripple effect was also a financial ripple effect that is rippling through the rest of the world. And this article pointed out 14 different reasons why the economic collapse in Japan. And I want to go over some of those numbers that he cited to show you that the collapse has already begun. And he also points out in this article that China or Japan is not going to bounce right back. And he likens this to what happened in Katrina in New Orleans, and their economy just didn't bounce back. And what we see in Japan is far more, it's greater, the devastation there, than we saw in Katrina. This is the worst devastation that anybody's ever seen, at least in our generation. So let me read you some of the things that he says is going to cause this collapse. Number one, the Bank of Japan has announced that they have decided to flood the Japanese economy with 15 trillion yen. That is equivalent to roughly $183 billion. This is going to provide the needed liquidity in the short term, but it is also going to set Japan on a highly inflationary course. Reason number two, Japan's Nikkei 225 stock average declined more than 6% on Monday. As the full extent of the damage becomes apparent, more declines are likely. So it's already taken effect in the stock exchange, is what they're telling us. Number three, oil refineries all over Japan have severely damaged or destroyed. For example, 6 refineries that combine to process 31% of the oil for Japan have been totally shut down or least for now. So there's a lull in income coming in. We're in a nation that it's already is hungry for income. Number four, the damage to roads, bridges, ports, and rail system is estimated to be in the billions of dollars. The damage done to power lines and water systems is almost unimaginable. It is going to take many years to rebuild the infrastructure of Japan. Number 5, right now the flow of goods and services in many areas of northern Japan have been reduced to a crawl, and this is likely to remain the case for quite some time. And when you look at the devastation and you see the piles, like Anderson at 360 was talking from CNN yesterday or the day before, the piles are 15 feet high. Could you imagine how long it's going to take up and down the coast to get rid of what's there right now? Number 6, many cities and towns along the east coast of Japan have essentially been completely destroyed, and it's going to cost billions and billions of dollars and time to put this back. And so the rebound is not going to happen anytime soon. Number 7, Japan's nuclear industry is essentially dead in the water at this point. Even if there is not a full-blown nuclear meltdown, the events that have transpired already have frightened people enough to cause a massive public outcry against the nuclear power in Japan. Now, if look at it this way, if they don't have nuclear power and they don't have any power right now, the cost is going to go up to get any kind of power that they can get. So this is going to add to the to debt ratio in Japan as well. Number 8, Japan is going to need even more oil and natural gas in the long run to replace the loss of nuclear energy production. Prior to this crisis, Japan derived 29% of its electricity from nuclear power. So this is a massive amount of energy that is no longer there for the people. Number 9, Japan is the second largest foreign holder of U.S. government debt, but that is about to change. Japan currently has about $882 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds, and they are going to have to liquidate much of that in order to fund the rebuilding of their nation. And this is again going to have effect on who? The United States. Number 10, many factories in Japan are closing down, at least temporarily. For example, Nissan has shut down 4 factories and Sony has shut down 6 of their factories. So again, income coming in, not putting people to work. The debt is rising daily now, and it's going to be terrible. Number 11, Toyota has shut down all production of its factories in Japan until at least March 16th. Number 12, a substantial number of Japanese financial institutions and insurance companies are absolutely going to be devastated by this nightmare. It's going to wipe people out. Nobody's ever seen this kind of massive destruction before. Number 13, Japan's budget deficit was already 9% of GDP even before this tragedy. Now they are going to have to borrow lots of more money to fund the rebuilding effort. And number 14, Japan's national debt was already well over 200% of GDP even before this tragedy. How much further into the danger zone can they possibly go? I mean, they're so low they got to look up to see the bottom, and it's terrible. Then it goes on to say, sadly, as the economy of Japan goes down, it is going to have a huge effect on the rest of the world as well. For example, Japan is no longer going to be able to buy up huge amounts of U.S. treasuries. So who is going to pick up the slack? Will our government officials beg China to lend us even more money? Will the Federal Reserve just buy even more of our government debt? Right now there are more questions than there are answers, but what is clear is the Japanese economy has been dealt an incapacitating blow. Hopefully this tragedy will bring out the best in the Japanese people, but no matter how resilient they are, the truth is that this is something that no nation will be able to bounce back from quickly. And I totally agree with everything that they're saying here, because there is a ripple effect that's going out. and it's going to cause America great problems at a time where America is trying to lift themselves out of the worst economic upheaval since the first depression. And as we saw from the figures last week, there was 349,000 Americans who were added to the unemployment rolls, lost their jobs, and the government in the United States is saying this is good. I don't know how they could say this, but so you see the effect. Now, the effect also took place as you scroll down. You saw that the stock market in Europe was hit as well. So all of these nations who are in debt are going to, and who are helping each other get out of the debt. It's just caused a massive snowball coming down, and it's going to cause an avalanche. And sooner than later, you're going to see the effects on the worldwide economy. And this is what you should be looking for. You'll see stock markets taking a hit. You're going to see interest rates probably going up, inflation going up. There's going to be a lot of talk about who's going to pay the debt off, how are we going to pay this debt off. And it's all leading down to the road that will bring this world to that one world financial system. Because when it busts, and it's only a matter of time, somebody is going to have to pick it up again. And Jesus shows us who that man is. He is a false God. He's going to call himself God, and he's going to try and conquer the world. And he's going to do it by holding you hostage to buying or selling unless you take his mark. So be aware what's going to happen in the future. Watch the news when it talks about the economy, and you'll understand, hopefully you'll understand more where this world is going. Now, the good news is this. Don't worry about it if you're a Christian. Worry about it if you're not a Christian, because the church will be taken out of the way. We know that because of all these signs, the Lord is coming back a lot sooner than most people think. And the Lord will be taking and remove those who believe. So it's my hope that all this information that you're getting will help you to search for the Lord. And when you search, the Lord says, anybody that knocks on my door, he's going to open up to you. So you can be saved, and you can, even in the midst of turmoil, you can have the Lord's peace.